Today we're going to talk about making a full-time living writing part-time. Let's get started with this. Now, as much as I think this might sound a little bit like bragging, I don't mean it to. I think you need to know this story so you can understand why you should listen to what I say. I started this business when I was still in the radio broadcasting industry, and I was working for a company that sent me to Anchorage, Alaska in February. Maybe you didn't hear me. Anchorage, Alaska in February. I love you, Alaska, but February? Really? I knew something had to change, and I sat in a Borders bookstore, back when we had those, in Anchorage, Alaska, drinking a raspberry mocha, reading a book by Bob Bly, which at that time was entitled How to Make $85,000 a Year as a Writer. I was entranced. I read the whole book. I slammed the book on the table right there in the cafe and said out loud, I can do this. And I got a lot of strange looks from other people, so I paid for my mocha. I paid for the book. Bob, I bought your book in a bookstore. And I immediately set about making a living as a writer. And I haven't looked back. Since that year, 2005, I haven't had a single year that I haven't made six figures. I haven't had a single year since 2016 I haven't made seven figures. And as I said earlier, we're on track to make over $1 million for the third year in a row. I've had the great privilege of working with clients like Tony Robbins, Michael Hyatt, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Dan Miller, Frank Kern, Jeff Walker, Robert Allen, Donald Miller, Stu McLaren, and many others. How do I do it? More importantly, how can you do it? Because I'm really not some kind of special genius. I'm not some enormously gifted writer. I just happened across a few simple ideas and applied them, and they worked. And I'm going to show you what I did and what I believe you can do as well. Now hear me, I'm not making a promise that if you watch these videos, you're going to suddenly start making money. I don't know you, I don't know your business, I don't know how willing you are to do the things that need to be done. All I can share with you is what has worked for me, what has worked for many of my colleagues who are in this same kind of business, and what has worked for many of my students whom I've taught to do this, and I've seen them succeed wildly. So I'm going to share those unusual cases with you, and then you have to figure out what to do with it. Okay? What I love about what I do is I get to work when I want, where I want, on what I want to work, with whom I want to work. And I don't have to ask anybody's permission if I want to go with my wife across the country to visit with her family and make videos in the basement of my father-in-law's condo. I mean, this is pretty glamorous, you have to admit. The point is, I don't have to ask permission. I sometimes forget this. I talk to people who say, well, I can't do what you do because I have to work. I can't get 2 weeks in a row off. I have 2 weeks vacation, but I can't take them all at once. What? Who do you work for? Ebenezer Scrooge? You can do better. I'm going to show you how. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you what to do if you're interested in starting a writing business. And this is for you especially if you happen to be in, let's call it the second act of life or later. And maybe you need to replenish your retirement savings. Maybe you had no retirement savings. Maybe you need a new income stream. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you want to pay for some stuff that you still owe money on. I don't know what your situation is, but most of us have use for this thing called money. This is a good way to get some. And if you're able to write and communicate somewhat clearly, you can learn to do this. I can't cover everything in one video, so I'm going to make a series of short ones for you. There's no charge. I just want you to take this information, put it to work, and start making that second income. Start making that full-time income working part-time. I believe you can do it. And here's how. We're going to start with 3 lessons in today's video, and here's lesson number 1. Pick the kind of writing that pays well. This is a mistake I see a lot of people who want to do freelance writing make. They decide they're going to make some money writing, and they go out and they start doing things like writing articles for magazines or for small publications, or writing content for newsletters, or heaven forbid, posting their availability on sites like Upwork where they can do freelance writing all over the globe for people. And they find that they have trouble making even minimum wage because people are just looking for the lowest common denominator. And this is where people come to me and say, you can't make money as a writer because people just want cheap, 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 cheap. That's because you're selling your writing at the flea market, not at Lloyd's of London. So the trick is, how do you sell your writing at Lloyd's of London? It's a metaphor, okay? Roll with it. I recommend you focus on the kind of writing that pays best. And the kind of writing that pays best is writing that sells. Think of it as writing on commission, but you're getting paid the commission up front. That's the way it works. So you're writing sales copy. So the first thing you got to get over is any stigma you have around that. I actually think it's a lot of fun. I think it's exciting. If you watched Mad Men and you saw what those folks did and you thought, that's kind of glamorous. I mean, leave out all the alcohol and womanizing and all that crazy stuff. I mean, the fact is they made big money writing ads. You can too. And just don't be thinking that there's no market for this. There's more demand for people who can write good ad copy online than ever before. That means you can do it from anywhere. And in virtually any industry, there are people who are looking for this kind of writing. And it's the kind that pays the best because there's an ROI that can be attached to it, a return on investment. People who pay you can actually track whether it's working, so they're willing to pay you a lot. So the first point again is, just to clarify, pick the kind of writing that pays the best, and that's writing that sells. Lesson number 2, write for a high volume, high margin industry. An industry that has high volume in sales and high markup on their products. Now for me, this has turned out to be information marketers, speakers, authors, coaches, and people who put on live events. What do I mean by all that? That may sound like gobbledygook to you. Information marketers are people who make online courses or home study courses. We used to call them correspondence courses. Now it's mostly online. And the reason this is a high volume business is because there's a huge market of adults who want to learn new things. So online courses are crazy popular right now. And there's virtually no expense to selling online courses. Now, you might spend a little money producing them. That's not the subject of this video because you're not producing courses. You're writing copy for people who do. The point is, after they've made the course, there's virtually no cost to deliver it. I mean, what does it cost to give somebody a username and password to a course that already exists? Nothing. But people will pay anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 for these online trainings. That leaves a lot of profit margin out of which you can be paid. And why would they pay you a big part of that profit margin? Because if you can write copy that sells just a few more copies of their course each month, it makes them lots of money down the road. There's huge return on investment. And because there's plenty of markup, there's plenty of profit margin, they can afford to pay you very well for writing the sales copy that makes that happen. So that's lesson number 2. Write for an industry that has high volume, high margin products. Lesson number 3. Write for people who already value this kind of writing. This is a point I drive home constantly with my apprentices and with my mentoring students, and that is, you don't want to go to your local dry cleaner or nail salon or cell phone store or car lot and convince them that they need to hire you as a direct response sales copywriter so that they can pay you lots of money because you're going to increase their profits. There's a huge number of hurdles you have to jump to get them to that point. You have to educate them, you have to convince them, persuade them, prove things to them. It's a lot of work to do that, and it can discourage you. In fact, most people who try this approach end up quitting because they say, you can't make any money writing this sales copy stuff. Ray was wrong. Nobody was willing to pay for that. Well, nobody you talked to. That's because you talked to the wrong people. Not you, of course, but the metaphorical people I'm talking about. Other people. Who do you write this copy for? People who are already using direct response copy. People who already have a high volume, high margin product to sell. People who understand the value of sales copy and sales copywriters and who actually already hire and pay sales copywriters. These people are looking for new writers all the time. You might think, well, this market's probably saturated, there's probably no work. There's more work than any of us could ever do. The demand for copywriting is incredibly off the charts. I get calls and emails and messages in my office every day from clients saying, help me find a copywriter or 10. And so there's a huge market for this kind of writing if you know where to look. And some of the industries in which to look are direct response sales. I've already given you a hint of that. The companies who publish financial newsletters, the companies who publish alternative health remedies, companies who publish courses, speakers, authors, trainers, coaches, consultants. There are so many people who are looking for a good copywriter. And this is the shocking news. You don't even have to be a great writer. You just have to be a competent writer who can do a few simple things. Who can A, write sales copy. It's not hard to do. Who can B, do what they say they'll do. C, when they say they'll do it. If you can do those things, you are a home run hitter in this industry. It's crazy, crazy good, crazy profitable, and crazy fun. If you're ready to do those things I just mentioned, you're poised to make profits. And this could be just a lifestyle enhancer. Maybe you'd like an extra 10K to put a hot tub on your deck, or maybe you'd like an extra 40 or 50K to buy a motorhome and travel around with your loved ones, or by yourself, whichever will make you happier. Maybe you need to replenish your investment accounts, your retirement accounts. Maybe they took a hit in the market crash. Maybe you never had a retirement account. You like to build one up. Maybe you just like to supplement your income so that you can live comfortably and do all the stuff you want to do. Take the trips you want to take. Take that Nat Geo cruise and go to Galapagos, or whatever your ambitions are. It's not too late. This is the time in your life to do this. And writing this kind of material and being paid well for it is, I think, the best business opportunity available for people of a certain age. We'll just say it that way. And look, let's talk about life for a minute. I mean, I have Parkinson's disease, and it's expensive. I mean, not only is my insurance incredibly expensive because of that, but I also have meds to pay for, and the meds come to about $1,000 a month. And then I have specialized massage therapy 3 to 4 times a week, which I pay for because my insurance doesn't pay for it. And I'm not saying all this to complain. I'm actually celebrating because I'm in a business that allows me to do all of that and still have fun, still have a life, live normally, travel all I want to, have the toys, have the good times, and not worry about where the next meal is going to come from. That's an incredibly freeing experience, and I want that for you too, and you can have it. So in these next few videos, I'll show you what I do to make this happen and what you can do to make it happen as well, and it's totally free. Now, if you'd like some more hand-holding and some personal help from me, we're having a workshop called Writing as a $1 Million Business, and I will open my books to you, open my office to you, show you exactly the forms, the checklists, the procedures, everything I'm doing to make this work. I'll take you inside, behind the curtain, and you can duplicate what I'm doing. I'll even help you copy me. So if you want more information about that, it's very limited. We only have 12 seats in each workshop session. And if there are seats available, you'll find them in the link in the notes below. Click down below where it says show more, and you'll see a link. And if there are seats available, you can inquire. It is by invitation only. So you have to fill out an application, and then I review it, and then you will either be invited or not. And if we're sold out, if we have all seats filled, then there'll be a waiting list you can get on, and we'll let you know when we're going to have the next one. But regardless of all that, I would love for you to watch these videos and profit from what I'm giving you freely here. So yeah, leave your comments and questions below. I'll review all of them. I'll answer as many as I can. And in tomorrow's video, I'll cover the 10 steps to building a profitable writing business. See you tomorrow in the next video.